Welcome back to I'm Fine. Today we're talking about something so many of us live every day, but rarely admit out loud: the pressure of juggling multiple roles. Whether it's work, family, community, or health, sometimes we just put on this shield and say, I'm fine. But what's really going on beneath that?
It's easier to say, oh, I'm fine, I'm fine. How are you? Let's take care of you, because that's naturally the path that I go down.
This is all I've ever known. Is that even
Possible for me?
I don't want to miss anything.
I don't need that.
I don't want to acknowledge my pain.
I don't want to get poked with needles.
I don't want that.
There's nothing wrong.
I'm fine.
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 We're sitting down today with Cherri Clark, board member, nurse, caregiver, patient, the list goes on. She's worn multiple hats her whole life and has learned how to flow through the peaks and rest in the valleys. But it wasn't always easy. She has leaned on the I'm fine shield many times and is now doing the work to break it down.
But if you're really honest, you're not really always fine. I think that once you start admitting, oh, hey, today I feel really angry, or I feel really afraid, or to me personally, I feel like it's kind of admitting a weakness.
Can you feel that tension? Cherri knows the instinct. We tell people we're fine even when we're not. It's a shield, a way to keep going, but it can hide the real strain underneath.
I'm so used to helping other people that it's really difficult for me. As a nurse, I'm so used to being the caregiver. So as a patient and as, a board member and a community member, and it's like the total opposite spectrum. So I'm the one that's receiving the help as the patient instead of being the one that's giving the care. So that's really puts me in a difficult situation because it's hard for me. I'm a natural born caregiver.
And that flip is tricky. For someone whose identity is helping others, asking for care feels unnatural. But it's also where we start to see the real pressure of wearing so many hats.
Oftentimes I don't say no. I usually, I want to say yes, like I really feel uncomfortable saying no. So I'm usually, yes, I can do that, and I kind of make time, and then eventually that builds up and I get a little bit overwhelmed, and then I just, I'm like, this is my busy time, or I'm really busy right now, or I've got a lot going on is usually how I kind of remove myself from doing a lot more than I know that I'm really capable of doing at the time. How I've overextended myself. I have a hard time saying no to people. I work for 4 different companies, and when they call and say, oh, can you go here, can you go there? I'm like, yes, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. But I kind of just push through because I know that the fall season is gonna be over, and then, I can relax afterwards. So, but I'm a yes person. Like, yes, I wanna help you, and yes, I can do all of that. And then eventually, like I said, it kind of builds up, and then you have to take a little break for yourself, physically and mentally.
So many of us know this story. Overcommit, push through, then wonder why we're exhausted or frustrated. Cherri's honesty here reminds us that overextension has real costs.
Somebody said, how are you doing? And I said, it really just depends on the day. And that person was probably expecting, oh, I'm fine, how are you? Because that's just our natural reaction. But they kind of laughed and they agreed, and they're like, oh, isn't that the truth? And well, how about today? So we had like just a natural conversation, about, hey, today I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, and, I do have to wear the few hats today as a board member, and I'm a community member, so I have to juggle both of those. So yeah.
Depends on the day.
It depends on the day. It really depends on the day.
Cherri's comments here are such a reminder. Sometimes it really does just depend on the day, and being fine isn't always the full story.
It's difficult, but I have to tell myself that not everybody expects you to be there 24/7, and because nobody can do that. So just knowing I have to be realistic. Like, I can say no. Boundaries are good things. They're not bad things, and everybody needs boundaries. So it's difficult for me, but I'm a work in process when we go to that avenue. Yeah. So I'm just learning to say I'm just not available. So, and that to me sounds better than no. In my heart, I was proud of myself, but I felt a little, I don't like disappointing people. So, and the people were probably not disappointed when I had to say, no, I'm not available. I'm sure they were perfectly fine, but it felt a little, I felt like they would be disappointed, even though in my heart, I knew that that's probably not the case.
And even as she sets those boundaries, Cheri reflects on the story she tells herself, her internal motivation for why she keeps showing up for others.
What story do I tell myself? I think in all of my roles, the story that I tell myself is that I'm doing good by advocating for other people. Like I said, I'm a natural born caregiver, so I tend to not focus on me, but by sharing my story and performing my jobs in my various roles, I feel like I'm helping to advocate for other people.
Setting boundaries is not always easy, especially when saying yes feels like who you are. But as Cheri shows us, it's not just possible, it's empowering. And Cheri's story isn't just about her. It's about how we frame our own narrative and how that can shape the way we show up for the people around us.
The story I tell myself is that the more I communicate my own personal feelings, what I'm dealing with, I'm inevitably going to become more valuable to other people, because I think in turn it's going to allow them to open up and talk about themselves and the issues that they're dealing with, and especially when it comes to mental health, because I just believe that communication is key. And the more open you are, the more open other people are, which opens up the opportunity for even more people to talk about mental health. And I think that especially the young people, like the 20-somethings, are way more open about mental health than my generation was when we were in our 20s. So I think that we've come really a long way in breaking that stigma, a really long way, through communication mainly.
And that's the ripple effect. When we share, others feel safer to do the same. It's how we build stronger, more understanding communities.
I have found a good pace. Like I said, I'm learning to limit the certain things that I do, and I've I know my busier time is coming to an end. My busy time with my work is coming to an end because it's fall. So now I know that I can commit to more things as a board member and as a community member, because those are the things that I enjoy the most. So, and now I have time for those. So I kind of just like focus on the season and what I'm able to do and how much time that I have, while also ensuring that I make time for myself, doing the things that I like to do, even though it still feels a little selfish to me sometimes.
And that's the thing. Sometimes finding balance isn't about doing less. It's about focusing on what truly matters and giving yourself permission to enjoy it. Because joy doesn't have to be grand. It can be something as simple as just taking a few minutes for yourself.
I think it's important, and I'm a big person I like to walk, and I absolutely love, this is my favorite thing and it's the most relaxing thing in the world to me, is I love to watch airplanes. Like, I love air shows, I love going to the airport observation decks and just sitting and just watching planes. It's the most relaxing thing in the world to me, and I don't do it often enough. I think the most important piece of advice that I could give is to make time for yourself. You've got to make time for yourself, like the old put on your oxygen mask first before you can, sort of thing. Because if you're not in good physical and mental health, you're not going to be as beneficial to somebody else.
So whether it's saying no, asking for help, or just taking a few minutes for something that brings you joy, Cheri's story reminds us that it's okay to care for yourself while you're wearing all those hats. You might even say it's necessary. The more honest we are about how we are really feeling, the stronger and more human we become. That's it for this episode of I'm Fine. Thank you for listening, and remember, it is okay to not be okay. It is okay to set boundaries, and it is absolutely okay to take care of yourself.